Hey, welcome Reese Hughes to the show.
Thank you, Scott. Nice to be here.
Great to have you. My wife knew about you when I mentioned your name. She goes, "Oh yeah, no, that guy. You want to have him on?"
Oh, really?
She goes, "Don't tell him that I think I know him or anything." But she's met you hiking somewhere.
Okay.
She goes, "That's the hiking guy."
It's the hiking guy.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good moniker. So, tell us about you. How'd you wind up in Humboldt?
Well, the short story is that I grew up in Kansas, rural Kansas, and maybe like many flatlanders,
Mm-hmm.
once you experience the ocean and the mountains, it's really hard to look at the flatlands the same way.
Oh boy.
So I ended up going to Seattle and working there at Seattle University, and I did a PhD at the University of Washington. And both my wife, Amy Uecki, and I really loved the Northwest, but we were ready to get out of the city and came down and applied for a position at Humboldt, the institution formerly known as Humboldt State University.
I gave you that look. I'm going, everybody says Cal Poly and makes a funny face.
Yeah.
The correction face.
So I say the institution formerly known as Humboldt State University. And, you know, we came down in 86 in January for an interview to work as an administrator in student affairs. And coming from Seattle, it was one of those beautiful January days where weekends where the sun was out. It was warm. It was glorious.
Here or Seattle?
Here, not Seattle.
Not Seattle.
And, you know, we saw people in the interview process, and then we saw the same people downtown at Jacoby Storehouse and up at Clam Beach, and we thought, it's community, and we were really interested in community. So 37 and a half years ago, we moved down here and have been here ever since.
Can't go wrong. Seattle. So what did you study at UW?
I studied higher education.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was really comparative higher education, which is a focus on international focus. But I think one of the things that was clear to me was that I wanted to live in the States. So that's a little limiting in terms of international education. But
yeah, that's true. So you came to a magic Humboldt January day.
Yeah.
I remember those. We still have them.
We still have them.
Yeah.
In fact, we have them a little more frequently even.
Yeah. Today it's, let's see, I'm just going to get a temperature check outside.
Yeah, I'm going to say 72.
For all you in Dallas, who it's 127, it is 69 degrees.
Oh, 69.
And it feels like 89. It's
feels
so
like
hot
89
right now.
and
smoky, and the fires are raging.
You and I were looking at the clouds to the east. It made me very disquiet because I think we have another bad night ahead of us, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I was talking to a client in Willow Creek, and she said, "Yeah, we want to get through tonight. That's what we're looking at." So, yeah, for those of you to timestamp this, there's a big fire up in Del Norte County in Gasky, California, and it was 46,000 acres. I bet it's north of 50 easy, huh?
Yeah, and then there are a number of other fires. I was talking with a person from Green Diamond today, and they were talking about the Lost Man Creek fire.
Wow.
And that's about 700 acres.
Wow.
Potentially encroaching upon old growth.
This is the Lost Creek that's in Redwood National Park.
Yeah, right.
For those of you who don't know
Creek.
Geography of Humboldt County, that's up in there. In that area. You're looking at, are you impressed with my map?
I am impressed.
Yeah, that's the Metzgers. I got that for $6.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of proud of my map. And now where we're talking about is kind of right up in here, right?
Yes. Yep. In that area. Yeah. You know, I also have a big county map in my office space. And it's impressive for those of us that come from elsewhere to realize just that this county is bigger than Rhode Island and Delaware combined, about a little more than a third the size of Connecticut.
I've heard Rhode Island and Delaware. Okay.
Yeah, combine them and we're still bigger.
And we have far less population than
less population.
Yeah. What do we? I bet we're at $130 or something now.
Something like that.
Yeah, and shrinking. Don't come here. It's horrible living here.
Yeah.
When we left Maui, they said, when you go back home, just tell everybody how awful the rains were. Kauai, it's horrible there. You don't go there. It just rains all the time.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, welcome to Humboldt.
Well, thank you.
Welcome to
37 and a half years good. And
Getting close to local.
Getting close to local.
Ferndale, you only have another 100 years, and then you'll be in the club.
Yeah.
Love you guys in Ferndale. So, so the journey to Humboldt. So, what part of Kansas?
Well, that really requires people to know Kansas, but it's the southeast corner of Kansas, which is we're about 25 miles north of Oklahoma and about 35 miles west of Missouri. So the major city, the major airports are Wichita, which is 2.5 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
Tulsa, 2 hours away. Kansas City's 3.5 hours away.
So you're out there.
Joplin, is about an hour away. So
where's Olathe, Kansas?
Olathe is a suburb of Kansas City.
It is. So it's down that way. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? So that's what brought you to Humboldt. You guys got jobs. Did Amy get a job as well at Humboldt?
Amy is an artist and has worked as an artist, but has worked in the schools as a art teacher.
Mm-hmm.
She's worked for back the North Coast View, which is one of the that would take people back that if they've been here a while.
Right?
And so she's done a number of things, but more recently has really been working on a project with Lori Dingler. They did a book together about the tsunami boat that came ashore south of Crescent City.
Yeah.
From Japan a couple years after the big earthquake in Fukushima. Mm-hmm. And did a wonderful children's book now in multiple languages. It's been animated, and they are working on sort of a redo of On Shaky Ground, Lori's sort of educational pamphlet and brochure.
Yeah, and she's the geologist.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the one about the cartographer that couldn't get a job because he had no sense of humor?
Oh.
Sorry. You're one of the few people that probably ever got my joke. It's such a great joke. So, it reminds me that I want to have some people from the arts community come in. We need a local artist to talk about the art scene and its replete nature here.
Vibrant art scene here.
Vibrant is a good word. So if I'm my wife right now, I'm going, I want to hear about all the trail stories. Where are the cool trails? Where's the swimming holes? I don't think we're going to get there, but we will get there.
We could.
So what's your role? Who are you? What's your job duty? Are you retired?
I retired about 14 years ago. Mm-hmm. I worked for 22, 23 years at Humboldt State, the institution formerly known as Humboldt State University, in student affairs. And then I wanted to retire when I still had the physical wherewithal to get out and hike. One of my passions has been to complete the Pacific Crest Trail, which is a 2,650-mile trail from Mexico to Canada. And I finished that in 2016.
Nice.
And then
how many legs?
A lot of legs. I claim I hold the speed record for the slowest known time.
Nice.
So
does it start like on the border in Tecate down that way?
It starts outside of in East San Diego County.
Yeah.
And then it ends up just shy of Manning Park, North Cascades National Park area.
Okay.
And the Canadian border. So,
State of Washington.
Yeah.
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 Just talking to Pierre Carbonneau, who's just on the show. He's got a cabin up in Hat Creek. And he says
it's on the PCT.
Yeah. He said there's that hike down to the
Subway Caves.
Yeah. He mentioned, and then there's a general store that's in a little town where
Old Station.
That was it. He just said that about an hour ago. He goes, I went down and they got to come get water and supplies.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hiked it in a series of segments. And just as an aside, I brought some books. And
yeah, please.
One of the first projects that I took on with a colleague of mine from Humboldt, the institution formerly known as Humboldt State.
You can't say Cal Poly yet.
It's hard for me.
You haven't said the words.
Yeah. For CPH, Corey Lewis and I worked on what we call the Pacific Crest Trailside Reader, which is a collection of 100 stories from the trail that we collected from a variety of sources. And about half of them were written by hiker writers and a quarter of them were written by sort of classic environmental literature and another quarter historical in nature.
Wow.
And published by the Mountaineers Books, and we did that.
I've seen those on the shelf.
I'm not really here to tout them because all of our proceeds go to support the Pacific Crest Trail Association.
Tout away. I'm an old sales guy from 100 years ago.
And that was 2011, and it sort of allowed me to keep living through the trail experience. And then 2022 sort of did an updated version with a whole bunch of additional stories that had happened between 2011 and 2022. That same deal, Crossing Paths, a Pacific Crest Trailside Reader.
Hold it up right that way.
Oh,
there you go.
like this.
So that accompanies these two volumes.
I
Okay.
consider it a trilogy.
Okay.
And anybody that loves the trail would love those 3 books. So
It's very possible Joni has that one there, the California edition. I think I could be wrong.
it's possible.
It's possible. She'll let me know it tonight. And I've seen the other one that you're about to maybe talk about. The
Hiking Humboldt.
yeah, that's on all the shelves.
It is on all the shelves here locally. So
Yeah,
and this one,
actually, it's flying off the shelves.
it is flying off the shelves because there are really none of them left of this printing.
Oh, okay.
Backcountry Press did these books. And they're 2 volumes. There's one volume that Ken Burton wrote, and then this volume, which I focused on shorter day hikes, urban and road walks in Humboldt County.
Mm-hmm.
And Backcountry Press did that. And then we're doing an updated version when I get my act together to do an updated version, because this one is about 5 years old.
Yeah.
And then more recently collaborated with First Five Humboldt. And
Saw this one. Yeah.
this is focused on families with young children, 0 to 5 years old.
Gotcha. Can you crack it open? It's pretty graphic, right?
Yeah, it's a beautiful book. Show
Yeah.
it.
Please.
A lot of pictures
Super easy to figure out.
and 25 hikes, and a lot of people that have been grandparents that have gotten this said, well, actually, this works pretty well for me because these are short hikes, easier hikes, and in some ways grandparent length hikes. So
Yeah, I know about those.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've been busy, but spend a lot of my spare time exploring that map right there.
This one right
all
here?
corners of
Yeah.
the map.
There's a lot to still see, I bet.
It's an amazing place we live in.
Yeah,
Scott. Amazing.
It's a magical mystery tour. You know, everybody. Joni and I rediscovered it with COVID, not having COVID, but during COVID.
During COVID.
You know, we would go to, Scenic Drive and walk Scenic Drive and hang out and have a picnic. It's 5 minutes away. It's 70 degrees. The sun is setting over the Pacific.
Yeah.
I got a Dick Taylor bar chocolate and that good Costco wine and a picnic and my best friend in the world.
Yeah.
And God's creation. I'm going, how do you beat this? This is cheap date all the way.
Cheap date all the way.
And it was the best cheap date.
You know, we have 1,300 miles of paved and unpaved county road, public roads in Humboldt County.
Mm-hmm.
We've got miles of trails from redwoods to the inland mountains, to the rivers, to the ocean beaches.
Logging roads.
We've got an amazing array of opportunities to get outside. Mm-hmm. So I guess I've become sort of a crazed hiking guy.
That's good. I like it. I think you're a concierge.
A concierge. That's a little.
Maybe that's in this case, a curator in some way. Yeah. So you documented where we can go. I'm particularly interested because I am that grandfather, because I have had bilateral hip surgery.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago last month at Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best things I ever did. And we just walked Redwood Creek.
Well, here, take it.
Is that for me?
That's yours.
Hey, man. You didn't have to do that. Thank you. I received that.
You got a bar of chocolate from Dick Taylor?
Let's see.
I had to one-up it a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see how you do on the quiz.
Oh.
That's so fast.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Out of here.
Thanks for coming, Reese. You've been amazing. Yeah. There might be a little something in there for you. Oh. No, thank you. I was looking at this online and I think we're in. Yeah. We did that Redwood Trail, Redwood Creek about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's nice and flat.
Yeah.
Took the walking sticks.
Now, now you can only get up 3 miles because it's been blocked by this winter's down trees.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a sign that says you can't.
Right.
You shall not pass.
Right. We tried to pass a couple weeks ago, and you shall not pass.
It's magical, though. It's beautiful up there, and it's flat.
Yeah.
And it goes through a lot of really cool forests. And my wife's a big hiker. So Joni has been a hiker, biker, runner for many years. And she had a stroke about 4 months ago. And a real minor one, scared us to death. And we're at Mad River at 6 a.m. I'm looking up at the sky going, what's even going on here?
Mm-hmm.
And she was back to normal by noon, probably because she's such a fit hiker, but scary stuff. So she was given 4 miles a day. That was her allotment.
No more than.
She negotiated 4. Now she does, well, honey, 12. So she's
serious.
Well, she is, and she's not running. She's obeyed that part, but she is, she's heroic anyway. So she's hiked probably
a good number,
a majority of this, and probably a lot of that.
Yeah.
And then I always call them the Old Farts group in the Fortuna hikers on Friday morning.
I often go with them.
You're part of that.
I'm part of that. But we also have a Wednesday group that goes on the first and third Wednesday of each month.
Yeah.
And does a little more ambitious, longer hikes. And there's even a Monday group that I don't go with, but they always end up someplace to eat. So their motivation is a little different.
So I have a bone to pick, and I haven't picked any in 15 episodes. The hiking group on Fridays.
Yeah.
It says 9 o'clock. Let's show up at Hookton Slough or wherever it is. And it's 8:45, and they've been gone like 2 hours. So are they? Yeah. Is it military? Is it if you're on time, you're late? These guys.
You know what?
I don't want to say you guys.
If you're on time, you're late to them. And if you stop to take a picture, then you got to catch up. If you stop to drink a water, you got to hustle.
It's go time.
Yeah, it's go time.
Don't screw around.
You know, leaders.
I appreciate that.
For many years have been in their mid-80s. Lynn Crosswaith is an amazing hero of mine.
Right? Yeah.
And she is amazing.
Chops to a hiking group that's stuck with it, huh?
Yeah.
Joni knows her, and she's met a number of people. We did the Hookton loop there, and then went over to Lighthouse Ranch and the BLM land.
They're on the Table Bluff.
Yeah. Did a couple of hikes, and then she's been back up in what I'm tell you places you already know, back behind Carlotta and Hydesville, and some of the logging roads back up there, and in Grizzly Creek. Is there something or Grizzly Bluff behind Ferndale?
There are a series of road walks that go up the creeks that come down that direction. And so, yes.
Yeah, so you're probably on some of the walks. I think that's where she's been. So if you, what do you like about Humboldt? You intonate, what do you really like?
Well, I would say that the first and foremost for me is the natural beauty of this place. It's a human scale place for me that has amazing redwood forests, oak woodlands, mountains as tall as Salmon Mountain, which is the highest peak which is just under 7,000 feet.
Wow.
It's got amazing rivers, incredible shoreline, the bay. I mean, what's not to love?
It's got it all.
It's got it all.
Malal Dunes,
and all within, a couple hours drive at most. Right. So that's one thing. It's a human scale again, where you can be a little bigger fish in a smaller pond, and you can make a difference. Yeah. And I hope that's a message that everybody here understands or soon understands. So I think that's part of what attracts me. It's nice to be in a college town.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago,
what's the name of the school again?
Yeah, it's Poly Humboldt. Amy and I took a long road trip a couple of years ago, and we really weren't looking at other places to live. We went all the way around the United States in our repurposed van and camped and saw friends. And we liked Vermont. We thought, wow, I could live here, but I don't know if I could handle the winters. We liked the east side of the Rockies in Colorado, Fort Collins, Boulder, that area, but we missed the ocean. And we got back to California, and we thought, wow,
we're home.
Yeah. And it almost brings me to tears. In fact, my sister, who lives in Kansas still, she says, when you talk about it, I feel like you're about to cry every time you're
good.
talking about how beautiful it is.
I love it.
So,
Passion, man.
yeah.
Gandalf said to Frodo, "Not all tears are evil." So
not all tears are
it's
evil.
okay. It's tender heart. I love it.
Yeah.
You made me think of my kid. So we have 9 children, and they're all adults. And when Jesse comes back, our grad from UC Davis, I've said this before. He takes a hit of the air, and he goes, "There's no air quality like this. Just the air quality alone is superlative." So,
Except for today.
Yeah.
Except
for
I do
today.
want to plug
Today's-
the CPH piece too, because I do think that living in a college environment,
Cal Poly Humboldt, CPH, got it.
Yep, is really an enriching place.
Yeah.
It makes it more vibrant, and I think if we didn't have it here, it would be
Coos Bay.
Coos Bay.
Yeah, no, you try stop.
That's my line too.
Logging town.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's, I really like Center Arts has done a good job for 45 years or longer. And, I'm not a huge fan this season. There's a couple shows, but it does bring in things like Tommy Emmanuel.
Yeah.
If he was in New York, I'd drive to New York and see him. He's that guy. But, the university does a lot. What do you not care for here? What
Well,
if you could change something, what would it be?
I have to say healthcare has been, as I've aged, and even though I haven't had to have great access to healthcare, but I can see the handwriting on the wall. And, it's scary.
Sure.
I think it's one of our major crises in Humboldt County.
Yeah.
And before, I never have been any place before this where the earth moved. The winds moved in Kansas, but the earth never moved. And now December 20th was a real wake-up call.
Sure.
I'd forgotten about 1992, April of 92, when we had a good-sized shaker that sort of jolted me a bit. But nothing got my attention more than December 20th of 2022.
Middle of the night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So be nice not to have earthquakes.
It had the shear power, right? Didn't they say it had more movement?
Right.
The Richter scale wasn't as high, but it jammed.
The force, the intensity.
Woo, man. I felt we have a new 20-year-old house, so it's engineered. It went,
yeah. I thought, wow, if this is going to last very long, then I can't imagine that this house is going to stay. But it fortunately was short-lived.
And the poor soul's down in Riadale.
Yeah.
So before we get to talking about trails, who was Reese Hughes at 10 years old in Kansas? What were you all about?
Well, 10, 15, 20, even to 25, I feel like I was grew up as more in the image of my parents. I don't think I had quite broken free of that as much. I have wonderful parents, but I think I was much more of a traditional Kansan,
Midwest kid,
Midwestern kid.
Yeah.
I grew up in an environment that my wife would said reminds her a lot of the Cleavers. And I think it really was. And I was probably fairly naive, also idealistic.
Who was it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think as life went on, I had a wonderful experience that really opened my eyes in my early 20s. I went to university in Australia.
Oh, wow.
And came back overland through Asia with I was 20 years old. My sister came over and my parents sent her. So the two of us came back overland through Asia on the old hippie trail back in 1974.
Wow.
And I thought maybe in retrospect, my parents would probably concluded they had too many kids and wanted to get rid of a couple.
What was the hippie trail?
Hippie trail
vaguely know what that might be.
Basically from Australia to England up through Indonesia. Primarily it was from England through Europe, ended in India.
Okay.
And then had some extensions to Nepal and Thailand, and people sort of got lost on the way and found themselves in a different kind of way.
Sure.
Stopping in whether it was Kabul in Afghanistan or and Kathmandu
Right.
or in Delhi. And I mean, there were lots of places.
A lot of choices along that route.
Yeah, right.
What did you call them? Side eddies?
Yeah, side trails.
Side trails.
For me, it's side trails.
I got to come back to a question. You said something
Yeah.
about the book. You said hike and ride people.
Uh-huh.
What's a hike and rider?
Hiker writer.
A writer. Oh, I'm sorry.
So it's
I think
people. It's people that hike and are amateur riders.
Okay.
And they're not professionals.
Okay.
They're people that write their story, and they're authentic voices. They're wonderful voices, not polished voices in many cases.
Nice.
So they're people that have wonderful stories to tell, struggle to write them sometimes.
Yeah.
They're professional writers sometimes whose stories are not as great, but their ability to write makes them magical.
Right.
So
you need both.
you need both.
I like both. So at 30, you had already graduated university and you were in Humboldt by then, or?
No, not quite. Again, one of the themes of my life is international travel.
Wow.
I did my doctoral research in East Africa, and my wife and I went and lived in Kenya for a couple of years.
Wow.
And then we came to Humboldt, and then that was sort of the end of, well, it wasn't the end of that travel, travel experiences, but yeah.
End of the line to plant and set and light and root. Yeah. It's funny. Who was saying that? I think it might have been Mary Keene, that we're the most Western stopping point, in the U.S. And kind of all bets stop here.
Mm-hmm.
And so it adds to some interesting metaphorical diversity that, this is where we're camping. This is the stopping point. So,
well, Scott, I don't know about you. I realize that it's me you're interviewing, but we're probably not that far from the same age. And I think, I look at my life and I think I was sort of a lump of clay until I was in my mid-20s, and it started to get more and more solidified. And I think by 25 or 30 not that I didn't change, but I sort of was fundamentally who I am now.
Sure.
By that point.
I like that.
How would you answer that?
Oh, I'm just discovering that last few months. My dad goes, "You're a late bloomer."
Okay. All right.
What did he used to say? We're from Iowa, so we're slower than most folks.
Oh.
And I go, that's pretty good. No, I think I agree with that. I think I was married to Joni, came to Humboldt from San Diego, long hair. It's hard, it's hard to know now with that, that look, but most beautiful hair in high school. What a great set of hair, and what a great honor it was to grow hair. And I came the first year was disastrous. I was going to be real independent, which I kind of was already. But second year is, finding yourself, met Joni, met Jesus, met sobriety, met a degree in recreation administration from the university formerly known as Humboldt State.
Yeah. And at what age would you have been then?
I was 19, and then at 22 I graduated and got my first job in recreation administration up at Trinidad program.
So somewhere in your mid-20s, you were sort of, your clay was forming.
Yeah, we were pregnant with our first born, Jacob, who's turning 40, and a great guy. A lot of our kids live up in Medford and Boise, and one in Amsterdam, which I'll have to ask you about that. I imagine you've been to Netherlands.
Well, not really.
Close. Okay, I'll let you know.
Close, yeah.
So, that was our journey. And so we were married a couple of years, and almost 24, and had our firstborn. And little did I know we could have 9 children. It was great. And guys come in, they get 3 or 4 kids. I go, that's nothing. Come on, man. Is that all you got? Anyway, so that's been our journey, and it's a great question because I think I found as a lifelong learner, there's new stuff all the time. I became a Toastmaster in my 40s, wrote a book in my 50s. Should have brought my book. I'd give you a book about fathering. That my youngest, he goes, this is a joke. He's 19. He knows everything. He goes, you dedicated this to your dad and to Jesus. What's up with that? He's just awful. He
should have been to the 9 of us that you tried made your mistakes on, right?
And he goes, you're just, Anyway, that's a whole other story. Those of you with the last born will understand that. But I think there's a coming to age, if you're willing at all ages, right?
Yeah. In fact, I don't use the word retirement. I feel like I've been retired for 14 years, and I remember I used to serve on the United Way board with Marianne Pennycamp, who, she was in her 80s then and, quote, retired. But I tried to make an appointment with her, and she flipped through her book, and she said, it's just, I just really don't have much time. And I said,
busy.
Marianne, you're retired. How can that be the case? And she said, well, where I come from, she immigrated from Germany and France. And she said, we don't have a word for retirement. It's the third age. She said, the first age is when you are cared for by others. The second age is when you are responsible for others. The third age is when you have the freedom. You don't have yourself to deal with or others to take care of. And so it's your freedom. And I'm in the third age.
Third age. I like it. The R word, man. We should not necessarily use that.
Yeah.
So 3 things you're proud of.
Well, my family, and by that I mean not only my wife and my 2 children, but my extended families on both sides, both the Oeki side and the Hughes side, and I think they're an amazing collection of
Are they here
people.
in Humboldt?
There's some Oekis here. Hugheses are all back in the Midwest. Another Oeki in the Bay Area, so they've moved west. We haven't been as successful in convincing the Hugheses to do that.
Yeah.
I'm proud of the advocacy that I've been able to do with regard to walking, to support and advocate for the Humboldt Bay Trail, to support volunteer efforts on trails locally, to preach the gospel of the trail and of walking.
Part of the team, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I have been thrilled by the kinds of international experiences that we've been able to craft that to me feel authentic. I make the distinction between being a tourist and a traveler. And I feel like
I like that. Yeah.
in my endeavors to sort of have those international experiences, they've been more as a traveler, as a participant in those cultures. So
nice.
I don't know. That's 3 things.
That's great. So you're kind of a traveling evangelist.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh boy.
For the outdoors.
This is going to haunt me.
Yeah, no.
I can tell.
You're okay. It's okay. I won't label you anymore.
Okay.
So the guy that just came to Arcata, he's a traffic flow guy.
Yeah, right.
Did you get to meet him?
Dan.
Yeah, interesting guy. Saw him. Jody pointed him out.
I met him. He came about 20 years ago initially, and he did a talk at the institution formerly known as Humboldt State University about those things. And out of that talk, I think, came the emphasis, especially in Arcata, on traffic circles and traffic calming devices.
Calming. That was the word.
You're right. And then I did see him when he was here briefly. He was out doing some reconnoitering with a group of people. And we had a trail work day that day, and they were out on the Humboldt Bay Trail north, and saw him then and sort of reconnected. He took pictures of us.
Is it by the marsh north?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That area.
Seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah.
So do you know Ranger Griff Griffith?
No.
He's up in, I don't know that he's necessarily a trail guy as much as he's a very entertaining guy that takes people
on walks
through redwoods and does video and just really knocks it out of the park and makes it kind of fascinating and fun. He's fun to watch when he's describing the natural science around redwood forest in this case. But let's get to something that I'm really interested in.
Okay.
So Letterman's top 10. I don't know if you got 10 trails, but and you don't have to order them. But if you were to talk to me, my demographic, I'm 63. I've had hip surgery. I've probably got no more than 7 to 10 miles round trip in me in a given hike. Where would you and I go?
10 options.
Okay. Yeah. Just thoughts off the top of your head.
All right. some of my favorites include road walks. So it would be a chance to go up into the backcountry of Humboldt County on a road, do some walking as a part of that. But one of my favorites is Malal North.
Yeah.
I love going up into the magical high dunes, but also to have both the coastal marine forest area, as well as the slough and the beachfront.
So that's the parking area. You could park and then walk north and do the circle.
It's a magical area. So that would be one.
That's a really interesting area.
It is. It's a wonderful area. And then I'm going to go to a road walk, which is one of my favorite areas. It's the Bear River Ridge Walk, which is in between basically Ferndale, the Wildcat, and the road down to Real Dell on Monument Peak. And it's a 10-mile stretch of
I'm looking for a
road.
pointer. I almost want to. Oh, there's scissors. They're sharp.
Oh,
no, I better not. Here's a pointer. So Malal would be right in.
Yeah, so
it's right here,
just above. Yeah, right there. Good.
Yeah, just right here.
This is going to be a test for you.
Yeah.
Then the next one would be up above Ferndale and Real Dell, in between the two. Yeah,
that's down here. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of in that area.
You can't see it, but it's in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And some of my walks depend on the time of the year. But one of my favorite redwood walks is one that you could do easily, and that's the Prairie Creek Walk.
Yeah.
And that's good just about any time of the year. It tends to be too crowded for me in the summer.
When you say Prairie Creek, do you mean around the headquarters? Or
start at the headquarters, go up the Carl Knapp Walk.
Okay.
And it's just a mile along, and then you can go around to Big Tree, and then make it a little 2.5-mile loop. And it's a wonderful walk.
So you just do a little circle.
Yeah.
I like that one. Yeah.
That's another really nice one. Another one that's hard to beat to me, and nobody really knows about it, is to go up the Lax Creek.
Lax Creek.
Lax Creek is a 45-minute drive east of Arcata.
Lax Creek. Okay.
And it's one of the tributaries of Redwood Creek.
Okay.
And it's often popular for mountain bikers, but it has a nice set of ridge walks along the easternmost ridge, which is it's a wonderful ridge.
Is it LAX? Lax?
LACKS.
LACKS. I'm going to give it a shot.
Let's see if you go towards Redwood Creek, and it's off of Bear Road going over to
Butler Valley. So it must be
got to be north of 299.
Oh, it's north of 299.
North of 299.
Oh.
So you go down to Redwood Creek and up on Bear Road for about 5.5 miles, and there'll be a sign turn into Lax Creek.
Here's Redwood Creek up here, the ranch.
Yeah. So you're heading down, and then you're in the general area there.
Okay, so it's kind of up in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had you over here by Maple Creek, so I'm
Maple
confused.
Creek's nice, but that's not going to be on my
hilly, yeah.
That's not going to be on my list.
How about Lions Valley? I'm not adding to your list.
Lions Ranch. Lions Ranch would be another one that would be on my list, and that's about 19 miles in off of 101.
Yeah.
From Oric.
That's a cool walk.
Cool walk, especially in the spring and the fall. It can get a little hot in the summer.
What's the purple flowers that come out?
Lupin.
The lupin.
Late April, early May.
Yeah. Can
get lupin. But, a couple other interesting things about Lions Ranch. You can tell I'm passionate about this stuff.
Yeah,
but
go for it. Yeah.
One is that lots of bears up in that area, and it's a great chance to sort of see a bear. There are also herds of elk up there, is a herd of elk.
Okay.
And the third thing is that it's not a bad place to see condors.
I think we saw some, yeah.
So there are lots of reasons to potentially go up to that Lax Creek area. And then you can do the 4.5 in and out walk to Lions Ranch itself, but you could get more adventurous and do a variation Coyote Creek and around, or go up to Schoolhouse Peak, which is the lookout up there.
So that does go a little hilly, right?
It's a little hilly. It's not going to be a flat walk.
Lax Creek. So just going back to Ferndale for a minute.
Yeah.
So that walk would you say that's pretty straight and flat once you get up to elevation?
Once you're up on Bear River
Wildcat?
Ridge, yeah. It's not flat, but it's not a terribly strenuous walk.
Okay.
Parts of it are a little more uphill than the others, but you can sort of pick your poison along that area.
Okay, cool.
All right, my next one is
Your next one.
Centerville Beach,
Ah.
especially in low tide, going south Centerville down to Fleener Creek.
Yeah.
And it's, again, you can do a loop if you want, go up Fleener Creek to the old listening post,
Oh, yeah.
and then back down on the road there and make it a
Is the
2.5
listening
mile
post
length.
there? Is there?
It's been eliminated, but there's a picnic area and a nice place to sort of chill and recuperate from the climb up
Yeah. And
Fleener Creek.
There's 2 BLM parks there. One's Fleener and one's, isn't there a second one?
There's another one that's Guthrie Creek.
Oh, Guthrie, yeah.
A little farther down, but the Centerville to Fleener, there are a couple of other interesting things about that. In really low tide situations, it's a great place to see fossils. There are a lot of fossils in the
Yes, because they have all that up.
consolidated mud cliffs on the south part of that
Yeah.
walk. So that's a nice thing. And then the other thing is that there's the old site of the wreck of a boat, and there's a cross and a memorial for a boat that wrecked back in the 1860s.
Is that a low tide view? It has to be out.
You
of
don't see the boat.
Okay.
There's just a cross there.
Okay.
And that beach actually historically was, before the Wildcat was finished, was part of the main thoroughfare between Petrolia and the Eel River Valley. So it was a stage road that went from Oil Creek up to,
'Cause that's a
to
hole.
Centerville. Now you can't do it, but even then you probably shouldn't have been doing it, but they did it.
And now they do a century bike ride down there.
Yeah.
Crazy people.
Right. Yeah. So where are we? How many have I done?
I think you're at 5 or so.
Okay, another one would be this isn't necessarily an easy one, but go down to the mouth of the Mattole and walk south to the Punta Gorda Lighthouse.
Yes.
And Punta Gorda Lighthouse has a number of interesting features. It also it's sort of a tough walk because the sand is soft.
Yeah.
But there's an elephant seal colony there at the lighthouse.
Magical.
And that is amazing. If you want to be pretty ambitious, you can take a different route back and go up to Windy Ridge on a road walk and make it a sort of a loop, and then take the road back down to the mouth of the Mattole. That's about an 8-mile loop, or it extends it a little bit, but it's an amazing experience.
Slept there twice in storms inside
Have
the
you?
lighthouse. Oh, it's
In the lighthouse.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty amazing.
Wow, that is amazing.
That was
And
a
could
younger-
be terrifying.
Younger, more hair.
Yeah. And maybe less common sense.
Probably a lot less.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was great. Okay. Where else?
Well, all right. Another wonderful spring. This is a road sort of walk. And again, it's another area that people don't think about.
Mhm.
But Southern Humboldt, there are a couple of roads. One is the Dyerville Loop Road, the upper part of the Dyerville Loop Road, and then going down to Fort Seward. And,
wow.
And it's all roads, but the upper part of the Dyerville Loop Road is between the main stem of the Eel and the South Fork of the Eel. And so you have views both directions.
Mhm.
Pretty magical. And then the road down to Fort Seward, and Fort Seward used to be a stop on the railroad. And there's an old remnant of the railroad station down there at Fort Seward Park.
Okay.
And Fort Seward Crossing, and there's a little community there. And it's all part of the road goes through a large ranch, so it's open range.
Mhm.
And especially in the spring, it's magical green view.
How far are we from 101 on that hike?
Yeah, so as the crow flies, you're not that far, but to get there is probably a bit of a trek up past Fruitvale and up the road up on the Dyerville Loop Road.
So is that where the rail tracks would be? near the-
Railroad tracks were down at the bottom. They go right along the mainstream of the Eel.
Nice.
So,
We're going to segue to the Great Redwood Trail here in a minute.
well, that might be a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
place,
a good one.
because the railroad right away down there is part of the rail banked Great Redwood Trail.
Yeah. Say that fast 10 times.
Yeah.
You got a couple more?
Yeah.
Then we'll come back. Well, let's come back to the trail when we're done.
Well, okay. One of the ones that I have to mention is the Arcata Ridge Trail.
Sure.
4.5 miles long, goes from Sunny Brae over to West End Road.
Mhm.
Pretty amazing transect of the community forest.
Mhm.
It's steep. It's a good hill climb. So
Joni,
it's
Joni
aerobic.
hikes that one a lot.
Yeah. So it's not for the faint of heart, but it's 4.5 miles one way from one side to the other. And it's right in our backyard, and it's an amazing place.
Okay.
So, and I got to mention the Humboldt Bay Trail,
Sure.
even though it's not complete, but for those of you that are
They're working
driving 101,
right now.
it's happening. And by sometime fall 2024, it should be done.
Sweet.
So you'll be able to go for basically at this point about 15 miles from Humboldt Hill to the skate park in Arcata without getting on a major thoroughfare at all.
Wow.
And so that is an amazing
That's going to be really
achievement.
neat. Yeah.
And one that we all should be really proud of.
So ultimately, it's going to connect to the whole thing, but it's the nuclear plant to basically Little River Beach, right?
Well, that would be the coastal trail to Little River Beach. This actually will be extended another 3 miles when the city of Arcata finishes from the skate park in Arcata to pump station number 1. So that it'll extend on the Annie Mary Trail.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
On towards Blue Lake.
Yeah. So that they're going to build that out one day too.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Again, using the same approach as was used with the Bay Trail, where we worked from both ends toward the middle. And this is working from Arcata, and Blue Lake has begun their first segment as well.
That's going to be great.
So
that goes right out to the casino, right? Is that
it goes to the? It's just a short section right now, but they're looking at getting to Glendale along the 299 corridor.
Nice. Hey, you want to hear a good stupid story? What I was young?
Yeah.
So
give me a chance.
Having long hair and being in love with Joni, she lived across the river in Philbrook, just up a couple of homes. Dr. Holmes had a beautiful house, and I lived on Warren Creek Road, where the trestle is.
Yep.
So it turns out that trestle, when you kids are in love out there and it's January and it's dark and the trestle's got that much ice on it, and you go up, and what is it? Maybe it's probably 50, 60 feet up, right?
Probably something.
It's a death fall.
Yeah.
For sure. And you walk that at night, and you gotta walk your girl home. And it's sometimes I would just kind of watch. But she had her Volkswagen Baja Bug at the other side ready to go. But it was like, so we had this river crossing on the Annie Mary line.
So you would go across the river on the trestle.
Correct. There were still trains running at this time. It was, it was
still,
1981, 80.
It was near the end of the
79 and 80.
The time that they were running, so there weren't many, but yes.
They had trains, you're right. They were ending them about that time. So are you out of trails that you like? You got one more?
Let's see. I'm trying to pick something that would be a little bit different area because I've gone north, south. One that I think, again, I assume you have listeners in Southern Humboldt.
Sure.
People don't think about this, but the community park, Southern Humboldt Community Park, east of Garberville, west of Garberville.
You go off the highway and you go down.
Yep. You see it from the road, and you look down, you see the wonderful flat space.
That's got a trail.
It's got several loop trails around it, and it's really a wonderful spot to go for a picnic. They've got a little park there for kids. They've also got a little bike skate park kind of setup, and then they have trails that go around. It's about a 2.5 mile trail with other options through the middle of it. So
very nice.
So there, we must have hit 10. I can keep going.
You're 10 there, and then
I have 101 that I probably can get to.
And probably the magic place for us is anything from Moonstone Beach to, say, Sumig, Patrick's Point.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. There's a lot.
I didn't
of
even mention those,
yeah,
because I feel people know about Sumay and Trinidad Head. I mean, those are wonderful places, but those are so well known that I hate to even give them airtime. Yeah,
understood. Yeah, no, those are other. Yeah. So as we wind down, I'd like your perspective on your hopes for Humboldt, your hopes for, and as it relates to your vision and your being a spokesperson, an evangelist, if you will, I would say it's more than trails. It's outdoors. It's
walking.
It's it's fitness, it's
Yeah.
breathing, it's living, it's going out. It's therapy, man. It's inexpensive therapy, it turns out.
I'm an evangelist because I'm cheap. And, you don't have to buy special gear. You don't have to be specially fit. You can take whatever you want. You can go whenever you want. I mean, what could be easier? No gym membership required.
That's right.
So,
and Jody says if we have the gear, we could go out all year long. So I think there's some Gore-Tex in my future.
They say that there's no bad weather. There's only bad gear.
I've heard that quote.
Yeah. So you asked me, is it sort of my vision for the future in Humboldt?
Yeah. What would you like to see happen?
Yeah. Well, from a trail standpoint, I'd have to say that we have, in the course of my time here, 37 plus years, we've gone, especially in the time of my advocacy for trails, we have gone from a place where there was lots of resistance by those in public office to a place where you can't find much resistance anywhere.
So there's a shift.
It's been a sea change.
Yeah.
And people, whether it's board of supervisors or county, city governments, the county staff, all are all on board.
The state as well. There's monies.
State is on board. Great Redwood Trail is a big commitment from the state. So for people like me, this is a pretty magical time.
Yeah.
And I think my hope is that everybody gets on board and embraces it and takes full advantage of what we've got available. So
it's a great truth.
I also think I have hope that as we segue from being a lumber community, a fishing community, a weed community, to really emphasizing maybe a place that's focused on supporting offshore wind, supporting the growth of Cal Poly Humboldt, to embrace this undersea cable that's coming on shore here, to look at the aquaculture farm. I guess I'm feeling hopeful that there is a new generation of opportunity. I'm optimistic about that.
30 seconds. Great Redwood Trail. How did it happen? What's going to happen? When does it happen? Just quick
30
timeline.
Well,
okay, a minute.
In our lifetime, it will be lucky to be done in our lifetime, but pieces will be done, and it's been most importantly rail banked from basically the Bay Area up here to Humboldt Bay, which preserves the railroad right-of-way and allows it to be used for other purposes like a trail. And it will always be available if there is a time when it could be reverted to a train, railroad corridor. But for now, it'll be used for this purpose. I think it's a great thing. It's a great resource. It has the potential of, once it's done, of being one of those places that pulls people in from all over the world to come here, ride their bikes, to hike portions. I have this vision of Airbnbs, of rental places, of restaurants, all the way along at key nodes, and give people the opportunity to make it a multi-day adventure.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, Scott, that it might happen while I can still do some of it. But I'll be happy if it's something that our kids can do or come back and do.
I'm so tempted to give you an amen preacher, but I'm going to.
Amen, baby.
Preach it, brother. Hey, bonus round.
Okay.
We do this on the show, folks. Everything's okay. When you go out tonight and I give you $200, where do you take your sweetheart? Where do you and Amy go to eat?
Well, I think my first choice, I'd have to check with Amy, it's probably go to Larapin.
Okay.
We have a long history from the early days of Dixie's running it as
Pear, her husband.
Yeah, when they ran it in the old location up on West Haven Drive,
the little cafe.
And I think it's always will be a special place for us, and I still like the atmosphere. And even though the menu doesn't change, as long as they don't go too often, it still feels special. So, and even during COVID, one of our anniversaries, we did take out and then took it up to Sume Village and
Nice.
And ate up there.
Right.
So
Love it.
so that's probably where.
So if we gave you question number 2.
Yeah.
You're going to go on a hike tomorrow morning somewhere. Yeah. We're holding a gun to your head. We probably don't have to.
Yeah.
Where would you go? Where are you going? And who are you going with? And what are you going to do?
Okay. I'd probably try to pull my wife along. Tennis would be her other alternative.
Oh, she's a tennis player.
Yeah. So we'd have to negotiate. But, Friday, I'd go out to Malal.
Hello.
Yeah. And I would walk out to the end of the old railroad tracks where you can sort of look to the north.
On the slough side?
Yep. And then I'd walk up through the high dunes and out to the coast and come back around or go all the way down to Friends of the Dunes and make it a little longer.
A little circle.
But I love that.
Yeah. Nice. Lastly, where would you, if you could go somewhere overnight and do what? Where would you stay? Where would you go in Humboldt?
Well, I mentioned Lax Creek early. Now, right now, I wouldn't go to Lax Creek because of the smoke.
Yeah.
But normally, it's a place that I love to pick up at 3 p.m. We've had a multi-day period of sort of marine layer. Sure. We have this old van that has a sleeping area in it.
I want to hear about that, by the way.
Yeah, we sort of keep it ready to go. And I'd go up to Lax Creek, which is 3,500 feet up, and it's dispersed camping, and I'd camp up there and enjoy a sunny sunset and starry skies at night. And
it's a little cooler than Willow Creek, I would guess.
It's a little cooler than it's 3,500 feet. So it's
swimming holes?
No water. Okay. So you have to take your water.
So the creek is just like Blue Lake.
It's the headwaters of Lax Creek. So you really have to go. Yeah, it's a little like Blue.
I got fooled. I went to Blue Lake looking for the lake.
Yeah, I've been there too. So I think I'd go up there. The other option, went there earlier this summer up to the Titlow Hill area or up off of the Forest Service 1 near Horse Mountain. It's even a little higher, and it's not far from Cold Springs, which is another wonderful place to walk. And
tell me about your camp setup. Do you have like an old Honda Odyssey, or
we have an old Mercury Villager 1995 that when our kids left the nest, it seemed like it was getting no use. So we took out the seats, put in a futon, raised it 18 inches, storage underneath.
Perfect.
Futon with a topper on the top.
Yeah.
We have a tail veil where we can lift up the back and have a little 8x8 room on it. And we've got a table that we can pull out, chairs, little stove.
Very cool.
Cooler. And we've been in it for as long as 2.5 months. It's just the right size. And, nice. It's old enough that nobody thinks it has anything valuable in it, which is true. It doesn't. Yeah. And it still keeps running. So
nice.
It's been a wonderful asset.
So I'm going to propose a trade. You won the contest, by the way.
Oh,
so, for you, my friend.
Oh,
the Dick Taylor dark chocolate, 72% strawberry basil. This is a flavor of the month.
Basil.
You don't just you don't just find these. Joni has to curate these and go find them. But I think you might really like this, I know Amy will really enjoy it.
Amy will really like it.
On the condition that after the show, you share with me a little bit about the van, because we want to convert our Honda Odyssey.
Okay.
And there's a lot of kits out there and a lot of ways to do this.
This is a cheap man's conversion.
Yeah. Hey, right up my wheelhouse. This is for you.
Well, thank you. As I mentioned earlier, Adam Dick, he and I share at least one thing in common, and that's that we both have roots in the great state of Kansas.
Kansas is cool.
Yeah.
I love Kansas.
Yeah.
Hey, what a delight. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Scott.
Last question.
Yeah.
What would you like your gravestone to say?
He never tired of walking.
Nice. Good answer.
Yeah.
And your legacy lives. I won't even ask about that. So appreciate having you, Reese. It's a joy, Scott. And we'll talk some more.
Okay.